Hi, I'm holding here a Sony Magic Link from General Magic. Magically, I charged it up and this thing still actually powers up. The screen doesn't have that great contrast. It's black and white and relatively small. But this was a little device that was all the rage back in '94 when it launched. And famously, this company launched and then crashed a few months later. There were a few things wrong with it. You can see a documentary about it. It tells a whole bunch of stories, the backstory of how Mark Porat had a project at Apple called Pocket Crystal, and how John Sculley said, yeah, go ahead, and they invested in this thing called General Magic. And then Apple started its own Newton project. There was conflict, a whole bunch of different kinds of things. And just for comparison's sake, this is the Magic Link device, and this is a modern Pixel phone. And this device wasn't a phone, was basically an email machine with a couple of little note-taking features. So not a lot going on there. I've also got the user's manual and an external keyboard with a wire to plug in. And the power supply, obviously, because I was able to charge it up and actually reacquaint myself with the Magic Cap interface. And that's kind of where I want to take this story is, the documentary and a lot of analyses don't really go into the thing that I think actually killed General Magic. They had two big mistakes, and ironically, these two big mistakes were the two innovations that they came out with. Magic Cap was the user interface, and Telescript was the scripting language, message passing sort of infrastructural piece of it that made the whole network part of it work. Both of these, unfortunately, were flawed, but they were created by geniuses. Andy Hertzfeld was on the original Mac team, is responsible for a lot of the really great things that happened on the Macintosh. Jim White was hired in. He had done XNS, the Xerox networking system or services at Xerox PARC. He had also done X400, and when I interviewed him way back when, for him, Telescript was a way of apologizing for X400, which is really complex and abstruse. The General Magic was founded in 1990 and then launched in 1994, right as the web suddenly showed up. And I can remember when Stacy Horn at Echo in Manhattan showed me the Mosaic browser, and my head just exploded because all of a sudden I could see the web happening. And I was a big fan of General Magic's. In fact, I used to make little Sculpey rabbits in all different poses, including handstands and so forth. I'll put a picture of one of my bunnies in here, and you'll see that it's just like the General Magic logo. It's as if someone had pulled that bunny out of a hat and placed it on the logo. So much so that I gave a couple of these bunnies to Jane Anderson, who was the PR person for General Magic back in the day when they were very, very secret and everybody was excited about what they were going to come out with. Now, the problem is that Andy Hertzfeld created a desktop with hallways and a library and a file cabinet that you really couldn't do much with. But worse, Telescript was a message-based service. The back end was a service that assumed that you were going to have secure message exchange, even for transactions or file exchange or whatever else. It was completely incompatible with web protocols. And when the web shows up and the web takes off like crazy, this modestly expensive machine that can mostly do email doesn't do web and basically falls into the dust in a little pile of ashes pretty quickly after launch. And I remember the launch. I remember it was pretty exciting and there was something really off. But I'll put links to the documentary and to all the different materials in the details below. But not enough people talk about how General Magic tried really hard to innovate and turned out to innovate with very smart, well-intentioned people in the wrong directions at the wrong time. There are just so many good stories about innovation in the tech business, and this is one of my favorites.